My name is Ellie Aerts, and I am a postdoc in reproductive neuroendocrinology at Oregon Health and Science University. My dissertation research focused on the neural circuitry controlling the timing of puberty onset, and my work now focuses on the connections between meal timing and fertility. So I transitioned from chemistry to physiology, which is kind of a big subject jump. So that's been a huge success for me. Physiology works with my brain a lot more than chemistry did, and it's more interesting to me, and I've really enjoyed it so far. And then I'm specifically in reproductive neuroendocrinology, and I love it. I love being able to help investigate women's health problems, which so few people really care about. So it's cool to be a part of that, as well as to combine my work with one of my passions. Graduate school was actually a super successful time for me. I feel like I'm one of those people who really thrived in grad school. I feel like so many people are like, grad school sucked, but I really liked it. My first grant submission was for a USDA predoctoral fellowship, which I was able to get, which I feel like it's crazy. Like, nobody gets their first grant, but I got it on first submission, which was awesome, and the feedback I got was super rewarding. Other minor successes in my grad school career, I was the secretary and then vice president and then president of two graduate student organizations during my PhD, our main graduate student organization and then our graduate women advocating science organization. And then I received two different awards for my service to our grad program for graduate students at large. I got our Mountaineer Values Award, since West Virginia University, where I went, is the Mountaineers. So it's like overall kind of an award for the whole school. So I got that award, and then I got the graduate award for community engagement. And both of those were big successes for me. It was really nice to see my effort in my grad program being rewarded. During my first year of grad school, I left an abusive relationship. It was a domestic abuse situation where my partner was physically and emotionally abusive, and it led to me almost failing a class. I failed multiple exams because my personal life was just in such shambles at the time, and I received very little support from my administration during it. And so just to kind of expand upon that, it was a really difficult time. It was really hard going into grad school from the beginning. I entered an umbrella program. Like I mentioned, I transitioned from chemistry to physiology, so coming from a chemistry background, I thought I was going to go into biochemistry, and I entered this biomedical sciences umbrella program with the assumption that I would just specialize in biochemistry. Ended up falling in love with physiology, but part of that first year curriculum under the umbrella program was we had this foundations class where it was set into different modules where you learned a different subject in each module, like immunology, physiology, neuroscience, biochemistry, a bunch of just biomedical sciences topics. And because of the way that the class was set up, it had different instructors for every module, so there wasn't really like a head instructor that I could talk to about anything. So it's kind of already struggling with never having really taken a lot of bio classes, and then learning all this new material, and then also just dealing with all this home stuff. My partner at the time was very controlling, so I wasn't allowed to spend the time that I needed studying because of how controlling he was of my time. And so there were just these simultaneous feelings of frustration because I wasn't able to put enough time towards it, and also just feeling like so stupid, like, why am I not able to get this? Why can't I do this? Everyone else in my class is doing fine. And it was just so much new material coming from a different background, and so parts of the class, like the biochemistry parts, were easy for me, and that's probably the only reason I actually passed the class, because I had good grades from the biochemistry modules, but I completely bombed the immunology module. I got like a 20% on the exam. It was really bad. So when I realized that I was in danger of failing this class, which was after I'd left my abusive partner, I was trying to basically rebuild my life. I scheduled a meeting with the head of the grad program just to be like, hey, this is what's going on. Are there any accommodations that I can get to try and pass this class? And she basically was like, no. And she told me that if I failed the class, I could retake it. But if I failed the class, then there were subspecialties of the umbrella program that wouldn't accept me. Like, for example, I'd been rotating through neuroscience labs, and she was like, if you fail this class, neuroscience will not take you. And I was just like, okay. I'd been leaning towards physiology anyway, but it was just kind of, I guess that's off the table then. And yeah, it was just really not a great situation. Professionally, I think I actually ended up better off for it. I ended up in a program that I really enjoyed, but it was hard at the time because it was like that option was taken away from me. So I'm like, okay, I'm in this new field and now I can't do this thing that I'm interested in, which even though I was kind of between physiology and neuroscience, it was like, now I can't do neuroscience. That decision's been made for me. Not being able to get any accommodations, I felt like it was really unfair, but then I was also trying to be like, okay, well, this is the situation, so how do we move forward? Because, yeah, even in, like, explaining it to them, The administrator was just like, well, this is how it is. I'm happy to say that the administrator I spoke to is not there anymore. There's a new person now who runs the grad program who's really lovely, and I think she would have been able to help me a lot more and done a lot more to help me succeed. But at the time, I don't think I even realized how messed up it was until like a year or two later. The administrator I spoke to was basically like, is it another grad student that's abusing you? And when I was like, no, she was kind of like, okay, that's it. I don't need to do anything for you now. Thinking about it now, it just feels so wrong. But just definitely in my situation, I feel like I was failed by the administration. I moved forward by just kind of refocusing my efforts towards what I could control. I could control how much time I spent studying for the next section of the course, and I could put more work into my mental health and my environment, and that led to me overcoming it and being able to move forward. And then also just learning to build and reach out to support networks and how important it is to have other people that you can even just vent to. Like, even if they're not necessarily helping you study or giving you resources, just to be like, I need to complain about this for 10 minutes. It's like, you don't always need advice, sometimes you just need to be heard. And then just also learning how much people actually want to help you. I think that was so huge for me. Because I'm like, I never want to bother anybody, I don't want anyone to think that I'm stupid because I'm asking for help, but nobody thinks you're stupid and nobody's bothered by it. They're like, yeah, let me tell you about this. I think most people actually love to explain things to the people around them. They're like, yes, I am the expert on this. Let me help you. That's certainly how I am when people come to me with questions. So while I attempted to cope by reaching out to the head of the program, obviously that did not go as well. If that had happened to me now, I would probably be going up the chain. I wouldn't just accept the answer that they couldn't do anything to help me. And I probably would have utilized more of the resources the university did provide, which I was able to find more information about after I was out of that situation. The other thing I did was therapy. Therapy helped a lot. And yeah, just reaching out to my support network. I learned a lot from my experience in regards to how it impacted relationships. It kind of forced me to reach out to more of my cohort and to get help. And actually, my now husband was the one who helped me really cram for my last module exam. Since our last module was neuroscience and he came from a neuroscience background, he totally tutored me, helped me cram, and I got a 100% on the last exam, which totally saved my grade. I ended up not having to retake the class. I ended up with a B, and so being able to really learn that lesson of, okay, I'm struggling, I need to reach out for help, I can't do this by myself. And I think it led to a lot more deep relationships with the rest of my cohort. I think I'm pretty lucky in that I don't think this necessarily impacted the rest of my grad school time as much. I was able to get through it. I was able to join the program that I really wanted, and I was able to be really successful after that kind of tumultuous beginning. The pre-doctoral fellowship that I applied for, I didn't have to put my grades on, so it didn't affect that, even though I ended the class with a B instead of an A, which is pretty lucky. But it was as soon as I got through that hurdle, I was really good to go. It turns out if your personal life is a little better, you can actually perform better. And so that was huge for me in grad school. I am a huge proponent of taking time to yourself, because if you're burnt out, you won't be productive at the time that you're there. It's better to take a day off when nothing is going well and come back at it the next day than to chug at it for 12 hours and still not get anything done. So how I cope with challenges now mostly is just taking a step back, taking a little bit of a break, and then just really focusing on what I can control. I can't control if the antibody I needed was expired, or I can't control if I got the opposite of result of what I wanted to see, or, if an experiment failed, but I can control how I react to it, and I can control what I do moving forward. And so I think focusing on, here's what I actually can do, this is how I'm going to move forward, really helps me. Number one is just reach out to your support network as quickly as you can. Try and develop that support network and actually reach out to them when you need help. People in your cohort, anyone around you, older graduate students, all of those people would really love to help. And be aware of the resources your university offers in terms of mental health, conflict resolution, or even tutors or seminars on topics you might need extra help with. Reaching out to other grad students or the administration to get a list of those resources can be really helpful. And then just in general, my advice for graduate students is to always pick a PI, not a project, because your project is going to change so many times. Who knows what your final project will actually end up being. But your PI has to be someone that you can work with for 5-ish years. So I always tell people, just prioritize choosing someone you can live for 5 years versus a project that you'll end up either loving or hating no matter what it is. But the person is constant, so your mentorship styles need to match. And then just take breaks. I didn't work most weekends in grad school. I know it's very lab dependent, and there were definitely weekends that I did work, but 95% of weekends I was like, I'm not going into lab. I am taking the break. I really tried to treat my grad school experience like a 9 to 5, and I think that that led to me being really successful because I was able to take breaks. I was just as productive, if not more productive, than a lot of my friends in my cohort. You know, I had some friends that would work every weekend, every evening, and I have more, if not the same number of papers as them and have gotten out faster than most of them, which that's not necessarily how you define success or, productivity, but you can have the results you want without sacrificing your entire life. Your identity is not your work. You need to have hobbies, like have at least one hobby that's not science related, something external, like literally anything. And taking those breaks will help you be more successful in every aspect of your life. Overall, I think my main thing is that even if it feels like an opportunity has been taken away, that doesn't mean it's a failure, and that doesn't mean it's the end of your grad school career. There are always options, there are always ways to get around things, and you can take a different path and still have success. Thanks for watching me blab about my experience for a few minutes. My name is Dr. Ellie Aerts, and I hope that my story can help other graduate students and other domestic abuse survivors feel less alone.